Hello, everybody. Just jumping on to do a live stream tonight. Back at it, which is exciting. It's been a while. We tried to give it a crack last week, but we had some issues, so that sucked. But we're here and hoping to get it all done tonight. So we got an advocate of a different type coming on tonight, which is cool. Just waiting for a few more people to jump on. She should be joining soon from Wrongful Convictions, it's called. So should be really cool. Should be jumping on shortly. Hope everyone's had a really good day. Been very busy at About Time for Justice, helping survivors of institutional child abuse to start healing, seek justice, and possible compensation. So I've been really busy today. Got to speak to a couple of different guys. One who went through some abuse at his local, in Queensland at a church, a clergy abuse survivor. It was very sad. He had a terrible time as a kid, and we got to help him tell his sad story, which is, it's good, but it's also very hard. Our team's dealing with very traumatic stories every single day. So where lots of us are trauma-informed training, because you definitely need it when you're speaking to survivors like myself who have been through institutional child abuse. Still waiting for our friend to jump on. She shouldn't be long. If anyone's tuning in for their first time, we have been holding these live streams for a couple of months now, I'd say, which has been really good. We've been getting some really good feedback from people, a lot of word of mouth to spread the word about the work we're doing. So the lady who's jumping on tonight, Clementina, has been wrongfully convicted, and she spent 4.5 months in jail. So it's sort of sucked for her. But she got out, charges were dropped. And now she's an advocate for people who have been locked up for wrongful convictions. She's supporting someone in jail right now. She's going to jump on and tell us a bit about his story, and where he's at with things, and how she's been helping him. Got some messages popping up here on... Oh, here she is. Invite sent. Sorry, team. Wasn't 100% sure how to jump on in a second. Yeah.
Let's see.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you? Can you see me? No, you can't. Hang on.
No, not yet. I can only see like your little DP thingy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can. Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Just jumped on. I haven't done too many live TikToks, so not 100% sure how it all works. But I think we got it. It's all happening now. I didn't realize I had to jump into the comments to accept her. So I was like, "Where is she?" You were probably thinking, "Why haven't you accepted me, you idiot?"
I was thinking, where's the invite?
Oh shit. Yeah. What have you been up to today, mate?
I was just working on the wrongful conviction case of Carl Haig.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How's that all coming along?
Well, there's progress. So he's been in prison for all up 7 years for a crime he didn't commit. And people have come forward here in Geelong to talk about what had transpired in 1995. So that's been great.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you
Wow.
have you
Okay.
seen the
Have you
website?
Yeah, your website's called Carl Haig Innocent
Yeah.
wix.com, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to jump on and have a look at that, um, you're more than welcome to jump on there. Sort of give the team at Wrongful Convictions the feedback. Clementine has been working very hard on it because she also is very passionate about this because of her own wrongful conviction. So if you don't mind, mate, do you want to just kick it off with your wrongful conviction and we can sort of go into um, what got you into advocating in this space?
Yeah. So in 2016, I was falsely accused by Victoria Police. They were investigating me and my mother. We were both co-accused. The complainants were from South Sudan, so there were more than 50 complainants, and they were from South Sudan. Um, I then was falsely charged, or should I say wrongfully charged, in April 2016, and I was out on bail. So, when you're charged, you're out on bail, and you have these strict conditions. This was like a
Yep.
first major crime for me. I've never been charged with, and the charges was obtaining property by deception. And I've never been charged with a major crime before, so I didn't understand what bail conditions meant.
Yep.
So I then breached my bail condition, and ended up at Dame Phyllis Frost in Melbourne,
Oh
and
shit.
I was on remand for 4.5 months. I had a 2-day bail hearing, so part one, and then a couple of weeks after, part two. And one
Yep.
of the bail conditions was that I wasn't allowed to talk to my mother. So I couldn't speak to my mother until the trial was finished. And the
Yep.
trial was finished, I think, 5 years after, and we were found not guilty last year, March 10th.
Yep. Yeah. Wow.
So
Um.
so the whole thing of Victoria Police needs to legally investigate any sort of investigation or complaints. However, this should have been a civil matter because my mother had a business. She was a referrer to mortgage brokers, and her clients were from South Sudan. So she was basically helping the Sudanese community. And what transpired is that they went to the local police station, put a complaint in against my mum, and
Yep.
then 3 months after, or 2 months, no, actually a month after, I was then charged as a co-accused with her. So then we were both charged of nearly $2 million, and the charges were obtaining property by deception.
Yep.
And the prosecution then changed the charges 3 times. So he ended up being theft, and then after being theft, he ended up being conspiracy to defraud. So the one charge.
Mm. Yeah. They're good for definitely throwing extra charges at you to try and make something stick, aren't they?
Yeah. So what originally happened is, my mum had like nearly 50 charges. I had 15 charges. We ended up going to the committal. And the presiding magistrate was Goldberg, and he threw half of my mother's charges out, and he threw half of my charges out. But we were to still stand trial. The prosecution didn't like that. So they brought
Yep.
those charges back, and he ended up being conspiracy to defraud.
Oh, he brought it back.
Yeah, he brought all the charges back.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So then he ended up being, sorry, I don't know if I interrupted you, but he ended up being the one charge conspiracy to defraud, and we were found not guilty. We were the only trial here in Victoria to be going through the pandemic. So we had a 6-month trial, over 60 witnesses, and yeah, and 3 months after we were found not guilty.
Shit. So you and your mum were locked up at the same time.
Yes.
Did you did you go through the watch house together, or did you go into jail cells together?
So when I came to the prison, I had to be in a cell by myself for like a week. And then my
Yep.
mother applied to be in one of the units with me.
Yep.
And they were very hesitant, like mother and daughter for some reason. And then I applied for the units too, so I can be with my mum. And then we ended up being in the unit, and we stayed in the unit until I was released on bail.
Oh, that would have been an experience. My dad was in jail the same time as me, so I was in Queensland jails and he was in New South Wales jails, and we were writing letters to each other, and it was really weird for me, but I wanted to be in jail with him, like just because I was in jail, he was in jail. But I never got to go in jail with him, and like I went and visited him many times. But one of my mates ended up getting pinched, and he got put into the same jail where Dad was, and
Yeah.
he got to do jail with my dad. I was a little bit jealous, eh? I wasn't sort of a safe person for you in jail. Would have been good having your mum there, that's for sure.
It was good on one hand, but then she gave me the shits on the other, because like for instance, I wanted to go to work, and make sure I'm at the unit. But then she will go to work and then she'll try to get the highest pay that she can, or else she won't work. And I'm like, but you need to work because we need to stay in the unit. So we sort of had like this disagreement. But yeah,
Yeah,
other than that, it was good being with her. I never thought though that I would be in prison with my mum.
yeah, it would have been a spinning. And also something else that you said there, that so you were on non-association when you got out. Is that what you said? With
Yeah,
each other.
so one of the bail conditions for me was if I was released out on bail was that I could not contact my mother because we were co-accused.
Yeah, that's hard. That would have
Yeah, it
been
is
really hard.
hard, because, like I didn't want someone else telling me that I couldn't talk to my mum.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what happened. And I had to obey that in order not to go back into prison for a crime I didn't commit.
Yeah, it would have been so hard being in there with her, and then when the conditions where you were non-association when you got it doesn't really make sense. Say like you can go to jail together and be in the same unit, but you're on non-association when you get out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, we were both good in prison together. Like, it's not like we did something. I was doing my own thing. I was, hanging out with my mum. And, we were very tight in there. We had a couple of, acquaintances or friends, should I say, in there, that, we were close with, but it's not like we did anything bad in there for me, to get my bail and then not to talk to her at all for like the next 5 years.
Yeah, it would have been strange in Dame Phyllis Frost Centre. Um, I've had a friend who's actually locked up there. What's it like there? Like, when you walk into the unit? So, I know in Queensland, Josh had to walk through an airlock, so you have to walk through two doors, and they have to close both doors, so you're in the lock, and then you walk in, and then it's like upstairs, downstairs, jail yard, kitchen. What does it look like in Dame Phyllis? What does it look like?
Can I just say, first of all, before I went to Dame Phyllis, I was like in the sub in the magistrate court downstairs with four other
Yep.
girls, and there were toilets in the same room, right? And that made me sick. And I'm like,
Mm.
please God, do not let Dame Phyllis be like this, you know? Anyway, so I went to, I went on the brawler and I felt sick. They had to stop halfway because I'm like, I can't breathe in the brawler, you know. Anyway,
What's the
so
brawler for people who don't know?
pardon.
What's the brawler for people who don't know?
Okay, so the brawler is for prisoners, basically prisoners taxi. you know. Yeah, you go into the brawler, like there's no windows. It's I don't even know how many meters by meters, or is it centimeters by centimeters? You know, it's like that tight. You can't even fit in there. Um, no window, like you can't even see hardly what's on the outside. And I feel like there's two doors, you know, so they lock you up in the brawler, like for good. Um, and so I was in the brawler and I'm like to the guy that was driving, please stop. Like I feel sick, you know? So anyway, they stopped on the highway. They parked on the side. They stopped on the highway and they're like, are you feeling better? And I'm like, no, you know? But anyway, we had to still go back to Dame Phyllis. So I was in the medical for about 12 hours or something because they need to check you up before you go in
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And then I went out in with the other jail inmates. Like I just went out, and
Yep.
I went in. They showed me where I was going to be staying in. It was called the Yarra. It was in a
Yep.
cell.
You're right.
Yeah, it was in a cell. We had to share a kitchen, a fridge. You know, there was other like 40 girls in there, on one side, and there was 40 on another. That's like where the new prisoners come in. You know,
Right.
so um, then like I'm like, what's this shit? You know, so I was like looking around. And then I ended up seeing my mother with her shopping bag. Because like at one point I forgot my mother was in there, but anyway, I went after looking for her, and she was in a shopping bag, and she had a lollipop in it, and
Right.
I was like, "Hi, mum," couldn't believe it. And yeah, and then we were hanging around with other inmates. It's not like when you're on remand in a prison, in a women's prison, it's not like you're separated from other people. I was like basically with people that have been convicted, you know. So then, not long after, we applied to stay in the units, and and I think it was the governor that pulled us aside, my mum in one room and me in another room, and they said, "Look, if you do one thing, you're out."
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
had to warn us. And, I said, look, I'm not going to do anything, but I don't know about my mum. Anyway, so we were then in the unit. My mum cooked for all of us in the unit. People will come in the unit, like get the food um, from my mum. So it's like my mum would cook for everyone in the units.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, other than that, there's a library, a swimming pool. You can work for
Swimming
Qantas in
pool.
there. Yeah,
Jesus.
there's
That
a
used to be like a
gym.
joke for guys in jail where I was. We'd be like, "Hey, on Friday we go swimming and make sure you come out with your towel and your boardies." That
Yeah.
would have been pretty cool. I feel like you're having a joke with me, or you're being serious. uh,
And I was working like for Qantas, like cleaning their earphones because it's all secondhand earphones. So they will bring it from the airport. The prisoners will clean the earphones and then they will send it back. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be good on my resume because when I come out, I can at least say that I've worked for Qantas. but I won't say like where. You
Yeah,
know,
which department?
pardon?
Oh, up the back in the back department.
But yeah, other than that, it was like the girls. There was no bitchiness with me. Like I just did my own thing. Like there was no drama. But the funny thing is, what I've noticed is the girls in there that like that have girlfriends, right? They act butch in there, like they act like they the men, right? But then
Yeah,
when I came out of prison, I saw them and they're like girls. They're like, complete different, like, because they're with,
yeah,
men out here. So in there, they would
yeah,
like walk and talk like a bloke. But
yeah.
in here, out here, they will talk like a woman. And
You're right.
yeah, and I found that funny because I'm like, why aren't you acting like how you went inside? But other than that, yeah, like, I was there for 4.5 months and, I was just grateful that I could spend time with my mum.
Mm.
But in the
Yeah, that would have been
meantime,
awesome. Being able to.
in the meantime, though, Jacob, like, I had to remember, like, I was falsely accused. So in my head, I was like, I need to do something when I come out. I don't want to live this life in being in prison. Not that, you know, what I've learned also, like, people in prison, everyone has a story to tell. And that's, I think, the greatest thing I've learned in prison. Everyone has a story to tell. But I had to then think of myself and be like, okay, when I come out, what am I going to do? Right? In order to help other people that are falsely accused and wrongfully convicted.
Mm.
So I then started the Wrongful Convictions Matter page. I started associating myself with people globally, like in the US, interstate, and I would talk about, wrongful convictions or I'll talk about false allegations. There were lawyers that would message me, so that sort of helped me also during being out on bail.
Yeah, yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you connect with people overseas? Did you just start
They,
looking at
they, they connected, they messaged me and because when you're involved in a wrongful conviction, right, Jacob, there's a fine line of someone being really factually innocent or is someone just saying they're innocent but they're really guilty. Not that I'm saying it's bad being guilty, but there are some people that maintain their innocence but are really guilty, right? So when they message me, I would investigate. I
yeah.
would make sure that that person is factually innocent. And
Mm.
so people that have messaged me, I would investigate and then, we would then do lives. We would talk about their wrongful conviction. And in fact, one of the guys in the state of Alabama, he had a phone in Alabama. He had a phone and we did like a three-way phone call.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, wow. And then I would tell him, about the women's prison, and he was like, far, like, if only we had that, like that seems like you're living in a hotel, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, like, and then I've been supporting his wrongful conviction in the state of Alabama. And so, yeah, and then I started learning more about wrongful convictions, like the one in New South Wales, Kathleen Folbick, then the one in South Australia, Derek Bromley. He's an Indigenous man. He's been in prison for nearly 40 years. And
Derek.
then,
He's in
pardon?
South Australia, right?
Yeah.
I know who Derek is. I'm friends with his missus, Robin A.
No, Robin is his sister-in-law.
Oh, is it his sister-in-law? Shit. Yeah. Sorry, Robin. I thought I was your partner. Yeah, right.
You're actually funny, Jacob.
He's in the
Anyway,
High Court. He's in the High Court right now, eh?
Yeah, so he went to the High Court. So one of the issues in his wrongful conviction case, one of the witnesses, well, it's the only witness, he has schizoaffective disorder, means like half bipolar, half schizophrenia, right? And he said Derek is the one that killed this person. But they ended up showing all his medical reports and stating that he's not a credible witness because he saw the devil, like he's saying that he's seen the devil, and second, he has all these symptoms. Like, how does that make him a credible witness?
Yeah, exactly.
And then earlier this year, like I was approached about Carl Haig. We're both from Geelong. And I'm like, I've lived in Geelong for like more than 15 years. I've never heard of Carl Haig. So I'm like, this is interesting. So I
Yeah.
then looked at the case, and one of the things that really caught my attention is DNA does not lie. So one of the evidence that I've seen is that the murder weapon, so it happened in a shopping centre here in Marcus Square, which is only 20 minutes away from where he lives. And it happened in front of hundreds of people in front of a lift. And the murder weapon was dropped at the crime scene. The murder weapon was bagged up, placed, taken to forensic, and Carl voluntarily gives his DNA. His DNA is excluded. Carl voluntarily participates in two lineups, right? He's excluded in the two lineups. So then this case ended up being a cold case, and Victoria Police took the initiative and put $1 million reward out to the public in order to secure Carl Haig's conviction. And so 4 people came forward, and most of them are heroin users. One of the lady, her name is Briony Eccles, she's a drug user and a prostitute. How are they credible?
Mm.
And Jacob, like what people would do for $50.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what they would do for $50. So it's like that's what ultimately convicted Carl was the $1 million reward. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to advocate for this man and move mountains in getting him home.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, you're doing really good.
Thanks, Jacob. Thank you very much. And I hope people can go onto the IG account, Carl Haig is Innocent, and give us the support. There is also a website. So, Jacob, what I like to do is if I'm talking about Carl Haig's case, I like to put the evidence out there for the public to see. Like whatever I'm saying, I'm putting it out there. So I'm bringing out the receipts. So what I did is on the website, I've created the website and I put everything on there. I've put the DNA results. I've put the police statements from police officers that exonerated Carl Haig in the lineups. And I've put the inconsistencies of police statements from 3 individuals who saw the killer, and they all 3 of them gave different versions of what had transpired.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this though: if your God forbid, your best friend was murdered in front of you, right? Would you put 5 different versions of police statements and the final police statement after 20 years later, after $1 million reward was offered? So, say your best friend was murdered in 1995 and you put your final police statement in 2017. Would you do that?
I wouldn't be at the police station doing any statements. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what happened, is it?
Yeah. So his best friend put in 5 different versions of police statement, and he has schizophrenia too.
Mm.
So it makes you question the intentions of why these people have come forward. Like, I know it's because of the money, but why try to convict Carl Haig? Like, they could have just left it as a cold case. But instead, Victoria Police were building up a case behind Carl Haig's back, and put $1 million reward out.
Mm. Yeah, it's four people, and so the credibility of these witnesses is pretty average. One's a prostitute,
Yeah,
and who's the
heroin
heroin user.
users.
Um,
Yeah. There was also
yeah,
there was a jailhouse snitch that I've recently uncovered, right? I've
yeah,
recently uncovered his name is suppressed for life. He gets paid by Victoria Police, right? And he helped 5 other murder cases.
yeah, right. Wow.
And this is the
I
problem
mean,
with
he's a good bloke,
jailhouse
isn't he?
snitch. Pardon?
I say, well, he's a fucking good bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, the best.
Yeah, right. Wow.
He he's from Geelong and his name is suppressed for life. And I feel like telling people who he is, but I can't.
It's a protected species. That's what he is.
Yeah. Yeah. And see what jailhouse snitches will do?
Anything.
Anything. So it's like you can't trust anybody.
Mm. Well, so what is he saying that Carl told him or something?
Yeah. In the Geelong cells in 1996. The
Yeah,
last
right.
case, the last case that this guy helped in convict, his name is Dwayne Lindsay. He received 34 years because of this guy.
Wow. That's
34
sad.
years. That's the last case he was a crown witness to. How do you find him credible, A jailhouse
Mm.
confessions.
Yeah, it's not a good one, is it?
No. So, yeah, there's been progress, Jacob. There's been progress in Carl's case.
Mm.
People have come forward, which I'm really grateful.
Yep.
We've recently uncovered the real motive as to why the victim was killed. And we've also recently uncovered who really did it. So it's just a matter of time before everything comes out and the truth comes out. Carl has the right to an appeal in the fresh, compelling evidence. So that's like the appeal that he can do in Melbourne. And if that is unsuccessful, then we go to the High Court. But we want to uh, bring everything out on the table in order to have his conviction overturned.
So when are you planning on doing that?
So there's a process. So it's going to be a long process, but I want to make sure it's the right one.
Yeah. Sounds like you've been doing your due diligence, which is definitely needed in something like this.
Yeah, the issue is like here in Australia, people think that it only happens in the US.
Mm.
But I want to show people here in Australia or interstate, it happens here. It happens here. Why should an innocent person be in prison? Why?
They shouldn't. That's right.
Like, why should an innocent person? Why? But again, there is no police accountability. There is no witness accountability. That's why these wrongful convictions happen. Especially Victoria Police, they are known to fabricate evidence. They are known to plant evidence. They are known to lie under oath, you know, and there is no accountability.
Most of them would probably get paid leave if they got caught.
Yeah. And if they do
Yeah, it's got to
get
be right.
suspended, they get suspended with pay. How does that work? So,
Yeah, it's not good.
yeah, so, on one
How is
hand,
Carl?
pardon?
How is Carl? Like, how is he holding up? What's his thoughts? Do you speak to him a lot, or
Yeah, I do speak to him. Um, Carl, has both parents out here. He has a sister. He's a father to two sons. And he can be hard on him, but the other day actually when I spoke to him, he said to me like, if I could yell and scream, like I would. He goes, but at the end of the day, I'm in this situation. He said, I have to be strong and I have to have patience, and hope that the truth comes out. And
it must be
especially
so hard
being
for
in
him?
prison and innocent, it can be tough because you have that negativity in the prisons, and you don't want to get involved in the politics in prison, and you just want to do your time or do your prison whatever and come out as a free man,
Yeah, exactly.
and for him to be once and for all cleared from this crime. It's
What does he do to
hard.
pass his time? Is he
He's a
training or
mentor.
reading or what does he do?
He's a mentor for
Oh,
NDIS,
yeah.
yeah, inmates. He looks after the young ones. I was on TikTok live, I think the other night, and someone messaged, like, commented and said, I was with Carl in Port Phillip, tell him so and so said hi. I know he's
Yeah.
innocent. And then when I asked Carl who it was, he said that he used to mentor that person that commented. So I thought that was nice.
Yeah. That's good. It's obviously taking a shine to some people and helping them out. Just looking at a
Yeah,
long time. So,
yeah. I'm hoping he comes home soon, but look, the one of the things also like in our criminal justice system is when you are convicted and obviously you can get parole, right?
yeah.
You have to do a course in order to receive that parole, and one of the
Yeah.
conditions is you have to admit to guilt in order to receive parole.
Wow.
So he won't admit to guilt. He'll rather complete the whole 26 years, but he will never admit to guilt.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be really hard
So going
for
through
him.
again all my false allegations and being 4.5 months in prison for a crime I didn't commit and being able to help now Carl Haig and other people, it's sort of like a bittersweet moment for me,
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I
Mm,
We get to help a lot of people out with the work that we do at About Time for Justice, and people who have been
yeah,
through similar experiences to me. I get to cross paths with different people who are doing cool things like you. Um, I think anyone who has been through the prison system would appreciate anybody at all who helps anybody else who has been to prison or is in prison, because there is not much support. And I take
there
my hat off to
isn't.
anybody who gives their time of day to guys in prison, because when you're in prison, you don't have much. You've got nothing. You've got a set of jail thongs and some jail clothes. And if you've got some family support on the outside, you're very lucky, because most people don't.
Yeah.
Just you and yourself, and four walls. So it's very hard. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're doing a great work. You're starting to become a lawyer.
Yeah, it's hard, mate. It's definitely not easy. And I want to, cases like that, that's what I'd sort of want to be involved with, things like that, helping guys out that have been fucked over by the system, by the cops. Um, yeah, so I love it. I love being able to help people after my bad experiences. So it's good that you're doing the same with, your bad experience, helping others, bring that
Yeah,
awareness.
I think that's important, to be able to help other people. That I think also it's like putting back hope in their lives and bringing back hope, and for them being able to trust again.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you an
Trust.
example. I'll give you an example, like with Carl Haig, when he was found guilty. After that, him and his family tried to reach out to everyone for support or Innocence Project, or try to do everything for people to look at his case, and no one did. No one did.
Mm, yeah,
So, to be able to bring back hope to him, and in the end giving him the motive and who actually did it, because he didn't know, Jacob. Since 1995, he never knew who really killed the victim. And for me to be able to tell him who did it, like, it was an emotional moment. And now,
yeah,
he has that hope again. Like with the people that you're helping too, they have hope again.
yeah. That's right. It's
Yeah.
that trust. When you say that trust, it's hard to. Once you've been to prison, it's very hard to trust people. Like because you see so many, or I've seen so many shit goes in jail. Even before I went to jail, I've seen a lot of shit things happen. Probably done a lot of shit things myself. So I've seen from all angles how people can try and angle on you, and then if
Yeah.
you're being fucked over by the criminal justice system, which is there to protect, and you're being fucked over by them, it's very hard to trust. I remember when I got out and I was breaking away from that lifestyle, I had some people that. Did you just
That
say
was a
that? Did
gift.
someone
That
just
was
put
a
a hand on my
gift. That was a gift.
head?
Thank you to everybody giving Jacob a gift. That's nice.
That was really funny. How do you put that
That's
back
awesome.
on?
Someone has to send you a gift like that, Jacob.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I just
know.
remember like people like doing things for me, and I was like, "What do they
Yeah,
want? What do they want from me?" So yeah, he'll probably even feel like that from you, maybe a little bit. Like, why is this lady trying to help me? Obviously, you've been through what he's been through. But yeah, it's very common for people to, just have distrust. It's very common. So many circumstances when you've been in prison.
yeah, and it's also even it's hard to trust lawyers too these days.
Exactly.
Like you could be, really wrongfully charged. Say the police charge you with armed robbery, but you only did robbery. That's being wrongfully charged. And then you're telling the lawyer, like, I wasn't armed. And then they'll just tell you, well, just take the plea because this and this and this.
Hmm.
So it's really hard to even find a really good lawyer. And that's why I tell people you need to do your own research in um, looking for a good lawyer.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. My Coe, I can't remember if we were on the same charges or not. I think he might have been on different charges, but basically the lawyer said, plead guilty, we'll get you a good sentence. In Queensland, you got what's called court order parole. So I think it's anything under 2 years or anything, yeah, under 2 years, you'll go to court and get court order parole. So basically, you get straight out, straight on parole. But what makes it really bad is you get board ordered parole. So that's when you have to sit in front of the board and you have to like plead a case and be like, I've done these courses, like the courses
Mm,
you were talking about. But board
yes.
orders you straight out, bags of you out. Um, and yeah, so he's like, yeah, plead guilty and we'll get you court ordered parole. Didn't get court ordered parole, got board ordered parole, got knocked back on his first attempt at going for parole. And, it's just a lot of miscommunication there. And his family was really upset. He was upset. Everyone was confused. He had to spend a
Yeah.
lot more time in prison. Yeah. fucking shit.
Yeah, it can be hard. It can be hard. I feel like the whole criminal justice system is set up to fail.
Mm.
And another thing, people are saying the criminal justice system is broken. I always say I think it's built this way. It's been built
It's
this way.
a trap.
You know, and another thing is when someone spent so many years in prison and they are released, it's very difficult for them to get into the real world. There's no help.
So sad, but so true.
My mom was released after 6 years, and you know that's taken a toll on her, you know, and still
Yeah.
has. Like she's been out
Painful.
for more than 1 year, and she's still it's taken a toll on her.
Poor thing.
Yeah, so it's hard for anyone that's been in prison for a long time because you don't have any help on the outside. You don't have any courses on the inside to help you to deal with things on the outside. So it's like it makes you, you come out, and this is why like a lot of people come out of prison, and commit a crime because that's all they know what to do, That's all there's no guidance, there's no things that they can do when they come out.
Yeah.
They just thrown out like, here, get out in the real world.
Yeah, have a go. Try and get a job with your criminal conviction. Try
Yeah,
and get a blue card.
yeah,
Try
yeah,
and do anything with the kick up the arse and the dole check that you might get from the government when they're way out the gate.
yeah,
Like, try and make
yeah,
it to the train station from the jail. How
yeah,
are you going to get there?
exactly,
You know, just set
exactly.
up, kick up the arse out the gate. What's someone going to do that only knows how to do one thing? Going to get money to get to parole, to get a house over their head, um, a roof over their head. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's very hard. It's very
it
very hard. If you don't
is.
have family support, your mum would have been rough that you were there for her when you got out because you would have seen other people got out and maybe just
Oh,
had no other option. So that
you know what she made me do? There's McDonald's near the prisons, right?
mm,
She made me go to McDonald's. She was in the car. My sister was in the car. I had to get her McChicken, nuggets, cheeseburger, like the whole McDonald's I had to buy. And then she ended up eating half of it. And I had to throw the rest in the bin. I'm like, it costed me more now that you're out than when you were in. But yeah, but it's good. She's out, she's with the family, and I think I think I think one of the highlights of being in prison, Jacob, in the women's prison, is knowing that everyone has a story. Who's in prison? Everyone has a story to tell.
mm,
I was talking to people that have been convicted for murders, that have been convicted for culpable driving. One lady, she was high on ice, and her son was in the car with her, and she had a big accident, and she killed her son
shit.
in that accident. Yeah, so you know to learn more about her, and so I've learned, everyone has a story in there. So I think that's one of the highlights that I took from there is that, there are, genuine, nice people in prison.
Yeah, there is
How long,
a couple.
how long did you serve prison time?
I didn't serve too long in prison. I only served 1 year. That was through two different prison sentences. So I went in when I was 17 years old. Um, I had been to the watch house a few times before that, but not actual jail time. So I went to juvie, like a boys' jail, when I was 17, and I turned 18 in prison. So on that day of my birthday, I got transferred from the boys' yard unit to Arthur Gorrie remand and reception centre. Got put into a unit there, and then I got out. And then when I was a couple of years later, I got locked up again, and I went to Brisbane Correctional Centre, and then I went to Woodford Correctional Centre, and I was put into 2.5 month lockdown there for my gang associations. So,
Yeah.
like the time that I done, it wasn't that long, but some of it was pretty hard because of the segregation. So that was shit. And even when I was in the boys' yard, they segregated me a little bit while I was not to the same conditions as when I was in the box unit. So that was 22 and a half hour day lockdowns, made to wear pink, no TVs in the cell, no contact with the outside world except for one non-contact visit a week and one 6 minute phone call a day. And even in the jail yard, like there's no chin-up bars, dip bars. Even like if you're a piece of shit pedophile, even they were getting that. So we got stripped of everything, fed through the cell doors. That was really hard jail. My dad was serving his 16 and a half year sentence. He was about 10 years in, and he was writing me letters, and I was just thinking to myself, like, I was looking at 20 plus years in jail as well for my charges. I was thinking, fuck, is this going to be the rest of my life?
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was scary. I remember in the cell, if you stay in the cell, they had these chairs. They weren't like plastic chairs. They were like a chair that was attached to your bench, so you could slide it around essentially like that. So you slide it around, and just got so bored sitting in the cell. You could stand up on top of the chair and swing it towards the door, and there was a pigeonhole. The pigeonhole is like where you can look like people. You could like if you were out in the unit, you could put your thongs up there, or you could put a book in there while you're out in the yard because you're locked out. But we were locked in, so it was just so boring. I was just slid my chair in, and I was just looking down in the unit, just seeing if anything was happening. Everyone was locked in. It was fucking boring, mate. Some of the most boring times.
Yeah, and you had to
Yeah.
find some sort of entertainment in the cell. Like,
Yeah, I was doing some crazy shit. I remember that one of the screws walked past, and I tied every single little thing I had up in my cell and put it in the bed sheet. And I was sitting on top of the bookshelf, and I was doing like extensions for my legs. Just looking in the cell, like, what the fuck are you doing? Trying to do weights. I don't know. I was just going crazy in there.
oh, wow. Well, in my cell, I had a window, and then I saw
Mm.
some girls climbing up the roof. So then we went into a lockdown, and that's the only entertainment I had because I was watching through the window, like what they're doing.
Yeah, that would have been
I'm like,
funny as.
yeah, I know. It was funny. It was funny. But yeah, it was like, it was. Oh, but I have to say, like, the funniest would be when the girls get jealous of their girlfriends. I think that's the
Yeah,
funniest. Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Give me an
They flew.
example. Is it like when a new girl comes in or something?
I remember one like they thought like me and my mum and the other housemates, we were in one unit, and then next to our unit was very close, so we could hear basically like if they were to yell or anything. Anyway, wow, one girl was getting bashed by her girlfriend like 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So me, my mum, and the two other inmates were like looking through the window to see what's happening, at 3 in the morning. But we were trying to see, and then she broke a glass, and then like, but we didn't see much anyway. It was apparently like she, I don't know, did something that she shouldn't have. Anyway, I don't know if I do want to say it on TikTok, but anyway. Um, so yeah, and then the next day, everyone's like, "What happened? What happened?" And then yeah, apparently the girl got really bashed by a girlfriend. So we didn't see it. We tried to look through the window at 3 a.m. But yeah, we didn't get to see anything. But I did
Wow.
hear her say, like, I left my son because of you and you give me this, rah, 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 Yeah.
It's pretty crazy in there, doesn't it, mate?
Yeah, but I think that
And
also, yeah.
I was just going to say, I don't know if you know about um, New South Wales and Queensland. It's like state of origin tonight. So very important game of footy.
Okay, yes. You go watch your
So
game.
yeah, I think my pizza's just rocked up as well. So I'm gonna have to take off.
Well, I hope it wins anyway.
Yeah, go the Blues. But everyone who, sorry, mate, I'll just be a second. If anyone is interested, we're going to be doing a podcast. So we're going to sort of maybe break this down a little bit more and things like that. So if you want to jump on and give wrongful convictions a follow, you should definitely do that. Do you want to just drop your handles and stuff like that, mate? I'm just going to answer this door.
Yes, if people can follow the IG account Carl Haig is Innocent. If you can go onto my TikTok, there is a link to the IG account. It is called Wrongful Convictions Matter. And if you go into the bio, you will see the IG account Carl Haig is Innocent. Also, the website Carl Haig is Innocent. So Carl Haig, he's born and raised in Geelong, and he's been wrongfully convicted since 2018. He is a father, and he's a son, he's a family man, and he's a friend. So if everyone can go follow Carl Haig is Innocent on the IG account, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on tonight, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob. It's been entertaining and fun, and go the Blues.
Yes, that's it. Go the Blues. We'll catch up soon, mate.
All right, take care. Thank you for everything.
Bye. Bye, mate.
All right, bye.